All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. I gotta wonder, though, if there are real people. I'm not saying there are zero, but I'm wondering, when I read story that my buddy Tony sent me, who happens to be the same age as this guy that is no longer. We're doing this too much. Okay. Does anyone care? I've put videos out there. My videos never go viral. Viral would be like 1 million views. All right. For me, viral is like 10,000. If I get a video to go 10,000, that is historic for me. The algorithm does not like this channel. And I've been saying this for quite some time. I see upstart channels with crappy content and people who can't even, construct a sentence, and they're getting 100,000 views on a video. So all right, sorry for the complaining, but this is an important issue. Here's the headline: Wallflowers guitarist Michael Ward dies aged 57 just days before his next performance. All right, so I don't think Michael expected that he was going to die. Otherwise he wouldn't be scheduling performances. His death was confirmed by the band on Facebook as they remembered his crucial part of the band's history and vowed his talents will always be remembered. Oh, and of course, here's the punchline: Michael's cause of death is yet to be revealed. Well, Dave, it could be anything. Could be a drug overdose. Could be just natural causes, right? A lot of natural causes at young ages. Natural cause is kind of a catch-all phrase. And if you really study the entire thing out, you realize that anytime they don't know, they're just going to say natural causes. In a loving tribute shared on Wednesday, the Wallflowers wrote, "With love and gratitude, the Wallflowers say farewell to the great and singular Michael Ward. His role and talents will forever remain a crucial part of the band's history." Seems as though they had parted ways a number of years ago, but Michael was there in the 90s. And again, this is a great band from the 90s. Michael played on their two most successful albums, 1996's Bringing Down the Horse and 2000's Breach. If you remember, in 96, that was a big deal. And the song One Headlight was just everywhere. So Michael was also a founding member of the early 90s alternative rock band School of Fish. In more recent years, Michael kept busy by performing, teaching online guitar classes, and doing studio sessions. Michael was even slated to perform in Las Vegas on Friday, April 5th, which, by the way, is today. The musician is survived by his 24-year-old son, Tennessee Ward, and his 10-year-old son. I have a 10-year-old son, so this is kind of rough. His 10-year-old son, Odin Von Ward. And that's it. That's the article. So here we are again, right? Just a coincidence, no big deal. Stay in your lane. I don't know what you're talking about. I did it. I'm fine. There's no proof. There's no evidence. You have nothing. You're just speculating. Shut up. Okay. So what's going on? Is it just because? Okay. And I think I've said this in other videos. So because there is no closure, right? Because you don't know why this is happening. By the way, those insurance actuary tables, all case mortality, and I have this video, right, that I did. It's actually a podcast that I uploaded a portion of on my other channel. I'm going to put that link into the description of this video. You've got to listen to this. And some of you might not understand what's going on in this podcast. But it is probably one of the scariest podcasts I've ever heard as far as what might be coming down the road. And I'm not saying that this guy had to do X, Y, or Z to be out on the road, but guess what? I think it's still being written into contracts that you have to do X, Y, or Z in order to be out there on the road. And certainly it happened 3 years ago, right? We all know what happened 3 years ago. Hey, you want to go out to eat? You got to have your little QR code ready. You want to go to the grocery store? You got to wear a face diaper, right? And I'm still mad. I'm still angry. I'm still frustrated with my fellow human beings who just went along with this because I get it. You were scared for the first few weeks. But then when you realized this wasn't like 1918 or whatever that was, you should have said, okay, we need to stop this. But everybody was so afraid of, not complying. And they figured they were doing something virtuous. This is the other thing, that they were convinced that I'm caring about you. See what I'm doing here? I care about you. Whereas I noticed, I would walk around, I would say I only did this for about 2 weeks, and I did it maybe 20 or 30% of the time. And, after walking around, and it's a psychological thing, I'm thinking, I can't breathe with this thing on. I'm not doing this. So one day I just ripped it off and threw it in the trash. By the way, I used to see all of these things strewn upon the sidewalk in my neighborhood. They'd give them to kids, and kids would just rip them off their face. Like, no, I'm not wearing this. We don't have that rebellious spirit anymore. We have the spirit of compliance. How can I comply with you today? How can I align with your values today? How can I not offend you today? Well, I know people are offended by everything, so it's kind of like the opposite of that. But in this case, I think we need to start offending the people who bought all of this. You do this because you care about humanity. I often say during these videos, like, how come people don't seem to be that concerned about why this is happening? Michael gets a great tribute. He deserves the tribute. He was a great guitarist, right? He was in a great band. However, there are more important things than the music part of this. But they go on. They finally get to a little family stuff at the end. Yeah, he's got a 10-year-old son he leaves behind. His 10-year-old just lost his father. Okay, well, that's too bad. It was for the greater good. Again, now I'm speculating. Maybe he didn't do this. And a week later, I'll eat crow. I'll eat like a whole pile of crow because cause of death, maybe he was a substance abuser, right? Maybe he had some kind of secret life. Maybe it was just his time, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. But there seems to be a lot of this happening to people who are too young for this to be happening. 57? Come on. Seriously? And so the media will spin this as, well, 57, life expectancy is going down. So yeah, this is going to be part of that. Really? Or maybe it'll be climate change, right? Climate change caused this guy to die. Something that they're going to continue just to keep the narrative going for what they think is the problem in the world. I think it's what happened 3 years ago. I'm almost positive that's what's different. And so anyway, I'm going to stop, but there is the link that is in the description of this. Goes over to my other channel called Politically Homeless. I posted a portion. I think it's about 16 minutes long. Some of it you might not get at first, but what he's saying in this is apocalyptic. And I think the only comment I had in the description over there was, I pray that this doesn't happen. So our prayers go to the family, those kids, especially, of this late guitarist who was nominated for Grammys, was in the spotlight, was well liked, but he's no longer alive. And I think we have to examine ourselves as the human race, as we are just not concerned about one another at this macro level. Like I'm not going to worry. I'm not telling you that you have to be concerned about every person in your midst. That's kind of hard to do. But when you hear about something like this, wonder what caused that. Why is it happening? Shouldn't we investigate this so, his 10-year-old, for instance, can live a long and happy life? I mean, shouldn't we care about the next generation coming up? Or is this the world that, this dystopian land of, humanity had a good run for a while, but we had to kind of cull the herd a little bit. And so a lot of unfortunate things are going to keep happening. And this is the easiest way to do it, because most people are going to say, it couldn't be that. It's genius. Can I just say this? Whoever hatched this plot, genius, brilliance. Well, they'll never suspect it, because we're here to help them. All right. Now, there are some people that believe this is happening and they don't have this sort of nefarious knee-jerk reaction. I try not to have that reaction, but the longer this goes on and the quieter certain groups get, the mainstream media, this should be a story. What happened to this guy? Why did it happen to him? Some people think it could be a certain medical thing that we did 3 years ago, certain product that rolled out in mass quantity. And by the way, something like 2/3 of the world's population did this. It's insanity. It's complete insanity. And what are we doing about that? We're just pretending nothing happened. We're just moving on like, there's nothing to see here. And that to me is the ultimate tragedy in all of this, that we don't care. And I'm not saying about you and me. People watching this, most of you guys know more than I do about this. But just like Joe Citizen, who's walking around thinking, I did my part to save humanity. I did what I could to save Grandpa. Yeah. Well, 57, that might not be Grandpa. It could be for a lot of people. But 57 is way too young, folks. It's just way too young. And I'm going to keep saying it. Someone needs to start listening. That's the punchline. Someone needs to start listening.